gentlemen, welcome back to Unarmored Talk podcast. I'm your host, Mario P. Fields, and we got a special one today. Someone again who's willing to not only remove their armor, but slow down a little bit to be able to do this podcast. Josh White, welcome to Unarmored Talk podcast.
Thanks for having me, Mario. It's a pleasure to be on here, and been looking forward to it, man.
No, same here. So, hey, can you tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself?
So, my name's Josh White. I'm from Charleston, West Virginia. I'm 30 years old now. I've been racing since I was 16, and I had actually. I'm a Marine. I'm the only Marine to race NASCAR since 1966.
Wow.
I'm the second ever, and I'm the only currently racing in NASCAR.
Wow.
So yeah, it's such an honor, man. Like it's great to be able to represent, the Marine Corps community and all that. It's something I don't take lightly. But yeah, man, I went to the Marine Corps and I enlisted in delayed entry program in 2009. I went to boot camp in 2010 and graduated and went to the fleet, did my time. I did pretty much 6 years. And yeah, it's great. I started racing when I was 16. I started drag racing in an 84 Camaro, just nothing extravagant, nothing crazy. I mean, I was 16. I didn't have a lot of money, So I went and did that, won some races, and that wasn't where I wanted to be, though. I mean, something was better than nothing at the same time. So,
right.
It was a lot of fun. After that, I went circle track racing. I went racing on the dirt tracks and on I-77 Raceway and crate late models, and was just kind of uphill from there. It's always been an uphill battle. It's not been an easy feat. It has not been easy at all.
Which makes sense on why you joined the Marines, right? Josh was born addicted to adrenaline and challenges.
Yep, exactly. I love a challenge and I love adrenaline. I'm always I'm the adrenaline junkie you think of, like, hey, let's go do this. Let's go jump out of an airplane. Something along those lines. That's me. I love the rush.
So let's jump right into the topic, ladies. First of all, Semper Fi, brother.
Hoorah.
Hoorah, man. And, in Lance Corporal, right, my memory serves me correctly, from Lance Corporal to NASCAR. I mean, you're the only one.
I'm the only one.
You're the only one, earned the title Marine, transition out from Lance Corporal to NASCAR. We're interviewing history right now in the NASCAR and, the motorsports industry.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I'm looking to make more history too, man. I mean, I get to the point to where, I can have a good car at these races. If I was to win at any racetrack, any NASCAR sanctioned racetrack, as long as it's not Darlington, I'm making history. Larry Frank won at Darlington, and he was the only Marine to win at Darlington. Other than that, it's wide open. If I was to race Charlotte next month and win at Charlotte, I'd be the first United States Marine in history to win at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So,
well, I know I'm watching and I'm rooting and I'm gonna get behind you. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you guys want to support Josh White. He's on social media. Josh, how can they find you real quick before we jump into the topic?
Yeah, just on Facebook, look up Josh White Racing, and Twitter and Instagram, you can find me at Fighting Marine.
Nice. And share it. Find ways to sponsor, find ways to support. This is amazing, Josh. And I'm honest. Hey, let's jump right into the topic though. Here you are racing. How fast, what's the fastest you have ever gone in a car?
The fastest I've ever been in a car. Well,
I guess let me be more accurate. A race car.
well, in a race car on record, it's 185 lap average at Daytona when I done Daytona testing in 2013. That's just a lap average. So what I mean by that is the lap average of your entire run during that lap. So you're going to lose speed going into the corners.
Right.
Yeah, I could have been 190, 195 easily.
Yeah, see, I'm sitting here thinking 185 consistently.
Yes.
And it's not that.
Right. It's faster. So off the record, now I'm telling myself a little bit here.
This Unarmored Talk, man. So let's go ahead and remove the armor. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, my Camaro I had that I drag raced, I had it up to 260.
260 miles per hour.
Yes.
During that, I mean, I don't even know how that feels. Did you get nervous, scared? Did you experience, man, any emotions going 260?
I was scared. Yeah, I was scared. And then there was another time.
Josh, I love you. Josh said, "Man, I was scared."
Yeah, I was. I'm not kidding, because it felt like the car was just floating. I mean, one wrong move, it felt like it would have been airborne. And so, I mean, it was not set up for that kind of speed. I didn't have a roll cage, none of that stuff. I was just young, stupid, and all out, There was another time, this is back when, I didn't have the chance to race a lot. So, I mean, I was young. I had the itch really, really bad.
Right.
So there was another time I had a red Ford Probe. I think it was like a 95 or 96. Anyway, this is a really good story here. Coming out of Camels Creek, I grew up in Camels Creek. I turned left on Route 60. I don't remember where I was going. I think I was going who I was dating at that time. I think I was going to her house, and so I hammered down, and I have no clue how fast I was going. There was a cop that passed me on the other side. I seen him flash his lights on and do a U-turn. But by that time, I already floored it in fifth gear, pedal to the metal. And there's a kind of like a mechanic shop on the left. I hurried up and then hid behind that mechanic shop, and I watched the cop pass me just right on by. I got home, and my grandfather, he was dating, and my sister calls her grandmother, but anyway, she was a really big part of her family.
Right.
And he got on to me and was like, "Boy, what are you doing going that daggone fast?" I guess the Bell Police Department called the house and said I was going 160 miles an hour.
Oh, in a Ford Probe?
Yes.
Hey, they probably saw that flash and thought it was an eclipse.
I don't know, man. Somehow they got my plate number, I guess.
What?
And yeah.
And they called the house.
They called the house.
Oh my.
I didn't even tell my grandfather or Debbie or none of them nothing. I just came back to the house, and everything was cool. Didn't say a word. Well, they knew.
They knew where they sitting on the porch and having a nice beverage. And welcome back, Josh. How was your trip? Oh, it was wonderful. No events, smooth. Yeah. How was that speed?
Yeah. They wasn't on the porch. They was inside. I don't remember what they was doing, but I remember they were on the porch. I got a little bit on that one, a little bit over on that one. They didn't like that too well.
Would you say? I know at that point you were like, okay, I think I need to rethink some of my actions, especially if I'm going on a date, because this whole town knows everyone and I cannot escape, man.
It pretty much. I mean, that's the way Charleston is, especially, places like Camels Creek and Bell and Malden and all that. Everybody knows everybody because it's a small town. Even Charleston, I mean, they consider it a city, but it's really just a small town. I mean,
yeah,
you go to Charleston, you go into Charleston, 10 minutes later, you're out of it. And it's not very big. I mean, there's probably, if I had to guess, probably had a population of at most 50,000 out of all of Charleston.
Yeah, that's
I could be wrong, but I mean it's not big at all.
It's not big at all. So has any of your experiences in the Marine Corps, the 5-6 years you served, did you transfer any of those skills to enhancing your driving skills in the race car?
So nothing I really learned in the Marines enhanced my driving skills per se. But the Marine Corps mentality definitely had a lot to do with my success and my keep pushing forward attitude, and never giving up. Being a Marine, Marines don't give up. So, being part of that's kind of helped me propel myself forward. And it's also kind of helped me think outside of the box in some ways. It's been a little, I do things differently than other people, so.
And it's interesting you say that, because there's a survey that was conducted. I can't remember what organization. And did you know that the results came back that the people surveyed thought that military folks are rigid thinkers and not people who think out of the box? So to hear you say that, where you're like, oh yeah, my military experience made me think out of the box more.
Yeah, I mean, never giving up and having that mentality makes you question yourself a lot. It makes you question, what can I do to get better? What can I improve? What am I not doing right? Because I mean, this is my passion and this is what I want to do. Well, if I want to do that and I'm not giving up, I've got to figure out how to do it differently than the other, 10, 15,000 race car drivers there are out there. And in addition to that, add value to what I'm offering. So that way, if a sponsor comes on board, how am I going to make them money? That's their only concern. Like if a sponsor comes on board, they care about things, but their main concern is, how are you going to make me money? And so I've got to be able to answer that. And to be able to answer that, sometimes I've got to go outside of my comfort zone and think outside of the box. So yeah, I mean, improvise and adapt and overcome,
Nice, man. And what would you say? I mean, you've been since your from my understanding, it was your grandfather that introduced you to the need for speed. Am I accurate? When you were young?
When I was young, have you ever seen the movie Days of Thunder?
Yes.
That's what got me started. I was 3 or 4 years old. I watched that movie, and after that, it was done. I watched it like on repeat. My grandfather hated it because it's all I ever wanted to watch as a kid. Yeah, no kidding. And so he eventually got, it was like an old International, and he made it into probably the most redneck thing you've ever seen. No joke. Had wooden doors, and it had a paint job. Looked like somebody took a paintbrush and paintbrushed it. And it was rickety. He looked at me and was like, "Here's our race truck." It made my day, but we never did do anything with it, and probably wouldn't couple months. I don't remember how long it was because I was so young. I mean, you're that young, you don't remember a lot. But
I can only imagine him going to your grandma going, we should have never, ever, ever let Josh watch Days of Thunder. Like whoever allowed him to watch that, baby, we need to somehow delete it from his brain.
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if he went that far, but it was. I tell you,
Yeah.
after he got that race truck, he sold it. He didn't have it very long.
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, I was so sad and disappointed because I looked forward so much to taking that out and just going full throttle and having some fun. But fast forward to later in life, my grandfather had actually got a four-wheeler.
Mm.
And that's when the fun really started.
But you were a little older, huh?
Yeah, I was. I was so my need for speed was there. I had the itch really bad, and every time we was up at the camp and I took the four-wheeler out, there wasn't very many times I wasn't full throttle, to be honest. I took Debbie, my grandfather's girlfriend, for a ride every now and then. And her first time on a ride with me, we got back. See, where I'd go riding, I'd have to cross 6 creeks. Okay. And so when we got back, my grandfather asked Debbie, how come you're not wet? Didn't you go through creeks? She said, what creeks?
She's probably like, what creeks are you talking about? Because Josh is probably going so fast. I just felt a splash and thought maybe it was raining outside.
That's pretty much what she said. She said we was going so fast. I mean, what creeks?
Oh,
so,
my.
Yeah. And then I took my dad for a ride one time when, we was up there and pretty much done the same thing. We got back, and I have never, ever seen him so ghost white in my entire life. Yeah, he wouldn't admit it. He wouldn't admit that he was scared, but you could just see it. I mean, just completely discolored.
Hey, Josh, you put it in park. Hey, Pops, how was that?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So currently, you got a big race coming up. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? What's coming up on the horizon for Josh White, the Fighting Marine?
So May 27th, which is actually, man, it's coming up really soon.
Yeah.
I'm running at Charlotte Motor Speedway at May 27th. You'll be able to watch me on Fox Sports 1, or you'll be able to listen to me on the MRN. It's the Motor Racing Network. I believe it's on Sirius XM as well. And it's also going to be on Flow Racing. Flow Racing is like a Netflix for racing. It's really cool. And after that, I got a dirt race I'm doing August 21st. And you'll be able to see that on MAV TV. And then September 15th, I'm going to Bristol. Short track racing.
Man, I tell you, as my schedule lightens up, I got to come out and see you race, Josh. And when ladies and we're not done. I got a couple more questions before I let Josh go. I just want everybody to get that so we can support Josh. If you're in the area, if you're in Charlotte, the Carolinas, you got the dirt track race coming up in August, or you got Bristol. With Tennessee, right?
Yeah,
down in Tennessee. Guys, get out there, support Josh White if you can. What would you say is your number one challenge, my friend? Like right now, things that people don't even think you deal with as a race, a motor, sport driver. What's your number one challenge today?
My number one challenge, you're asking what my number one challenge is besides the obvious, right?
Absolutely.
Besides sponsorship.
Absolutely.
Okay. My number one challenge besides sponsorship and physical fitness is just dealing with everyday life, being a father, and being a fiance to my woman, and being able to keep everything going, keeping the bills paid, keeping everybody fed, just like anybody else. I mean, that's my greatest challenge besides the obvious. A lot of people don't see that. A lot of people feel like, or they see somebody like me, they feel like I'm a superstar. He has a lot of money. I ain't got to worry about that. No, it's nothing like that. I'm living the dream, absolutely, but I'm having to count my dollars just like everybody else. It's a challenge.
Josh, I'm glad you brought that up, because even me, I mean, I'm captivated, and I didn't even stop to think again. I mean, Josh has to wake up and, are you going to be at my game today, or are you going to, honey, we're going to be home for dinner? No, I got to race, or I have to practice, or I have to go work out. So I thanks for sharing that. And
Sure.
and I like earlier how you mentioned, in the Marine Corps, how you learned never give up, no matter what, just be resilient, keep going, adapt and overcome, but just don't quit. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, because
And
I would
then,
have never thought. I'm just thinking again. I'm just thinking, and probably like a lot of just my belief viewers and listeners going, he wakes up and race, does some interviews, goes to sleep, and then he gets up and race. What a wonderful life.
right, that would be a wonderful life. That's totally not the case though. You've got to work up to race day. Every day is different, and as a driver, you've got to get sponsors and stuff leading up to the race. The more you put into it, the better you can be. And
Nice.
behind the scenes of that, you still have your personal life. I'm a dad. I'm a fiance, and
Yeah.
it's just it's a little different when people think. It's for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I
And
appreciate you. No, go
going
ahead.
back going back to the never give up mentality. I just thought about this a while ago. I wanted to say it. We was in the Marines. When somebody said retreat, what did you say?
Oh, like hell no, retreat. Hell no.
When somebody said retreat, you said retreat hell. So, you know what? When somebody, when I think about giving up, I say retreat hell,
Right.
because, that's the way I was taught. So
That's awesome. Josh. Well, I am so honored to have you on Unarmored Talk. I know you're busy, my friend. And so I truly appreciate you taking a few minutes to do this episode with me. And again, ladies and gentlemen, follow Josh White on social media, support his efforts in racing. And one last thing, Josh, for the young folks out there, anyone who has a dream to one day to race professionally, what advice could you give them?
but not just racing, but anything they want to do. It doesn't matter if it's racing or race car, or maybe they want to go to college and become a doctor, or they want to become a veterinarian, or maybe they want to become an NFL player. It all applies. It's all the same. You just never give up. If somebody discourages you, don't listen to them. I've had family members, friends tell me, when I went to the Marine Corps, you can't do that. There's no way. You're not that kind of person. Whatever. The same way with NASCAR. I want to go race this, and I want to be a NASCAR driver. You can't do that. No way. You ain't got the money to do that. Well, I did it. And you just can't let them get to you. You got to keep pushing forward. And there's a lot of people I got to thank for, this year, this racing season, my sponsors. A part of not giving up is believing in yourself. And when you believe in yourself and you're confident in what you can do, you'll find that other people will believe in you too. And so I have a lot to thank. I have a lot of people to thank. My sponsors: Canoma Ammunition, Racer Apparel, Fish Fin, Bubba and Mothers, You First, Reality Infinity. I've got Patriot Popcorn Company. So, I mean, these guys, they're great. And I really appreciate their support. I couldn't be any more grateful. These people believe in me, and to get to that point, you've got to believe in yourself and just never give up.
Josh, I love it, man. There's people out there that believes in you, but it all starts with you believing in yourself, my friend. Hey, thanks so much. I know you got the background blurred out because there's some big engines back there, man. I truly appreciate it. I'm looking forward to May 27th and future races. Josh, Semper Fi, and thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. Semper Fi.
No worries. Well, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, God bless you all, and we'll see you